Welcome to Oddball. I am Amin Scissorhands. That over there is Mr. Peanut Butter, Izzy Gutierrez.
Oh, sorry. Didn't know who I was.
We got a great show for you guys today. Izzy, went to Cavs Heat last night. Didn't see you there.
Oh, man. So
what happened?
This was a kind of like two Americas thing. I live in North America, right? I live north of South of Miami Beach. And I had an opportunity to go to a Panthers game. And I decided to go to that. So I kind of went to that instead of potentially working. But I picked the right game because it seemed like last night was a snoozer.
Yeah, it was an ass whoop. So a lot of people interested in some ass whoopings around the trade deadline where they're going to whoop the ass of their trade partners. We got the trade deadline coming up next Thursday. It's a week from today, February 6th. And it's right now, it's like the calm before the storm.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, to me, it's if this was like a Netflix limited series, right? We're on like episode 6. This is where like maybe the end of episode 5 going into episode 6, right? It's like you got the big tension, the drama. It's like the new age NBA. You got Jimmy Butler on one side. You got, Miami Heat and all these other executives at the other and just staring each other down, see who's going to be more powerful. And then you find out at the beginning of episode 6 where he goes, if he goes, and if these last 2 episodes are going to be like, hey, look what he's doing with this new team, or, oh no, he's got to repair his relationships with all these people. That's kind of where we are right now.
How many episodes of the season? 10?
Only 8.
Only 8. Oh, it's 18.
Yeah.
Okay, so we gotta get to it. But one of the funny things I see is that a lot of people bemoaning, "Oh, this is the player empowerment. These guys are just demanding, and they won't even fulfill their contracts." And
I know that guy.
Like my thing is, man, this is as NBA gets. Like this goes all the way back, distant past. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played for the Bucks, won a championship with the Bucks, and then one day said, "I don't want to live in Milwaukee anymore."
I would say people forget that, but I don't know how many people were alive when that happened that are listening to this.
He said, "I don't want to play there anymore. I want to be in Milwaukee anymore." So either you can send me to the Knicks and send me to the Lakers. And guess where they sent him? To Memphis. No, they sent him to the Lakers. They sent him to the Lakers.
Memphis didn't have a team.
Charles Barkley told the Philadelphia 76ers, "I don't want to play here anymore. We lose all the time. I'm one of the best players. We lose all the time. Send me to the Lakers or send me to the Suns." And then they sent him to the Vancouver. No, they sent him to the Suns. Like this happens. This has happened a lot in NBA history. Throughout history, we got Steve Francis saying, "I don't want to be drafted by the Grizzlies organization." I don't know why the Grizzlies keep getting Memphis, Vancouver now. But the point being is, this is not like some new social media NIL, brain rot. Like this is something that happens all the time. And so everyone basically should just be accustomed to when a star player doesn't like their situation, they have leverage.
It feels like we're accustomed to it, but in season, it feels like it's a lot more dramatic, right? The Kareem Abdul-Jabbar thing didn't happen in season. With this, especially with Jimmy Butler coming back to play and then having to sort of navigate all those feelings with his teammates and his coaches and the front office, it feels like he's way more of a heel, right? It feels like he is player empowerment personified. And now the Miami Heat are, hey, business personified. And you signed a contract and letter of the law is letter of the law. And I'm trying to figure out if that part is new, if that's something that is correct, if there's a different way to handle this, kind of the way, I mean, Steph, I guess you could say, is handling it. He's a superstar who's unhappy with the performance of his team, right?
You know what I would argue from the Heat perspective is that they're not even doing this to prove a point to Jimmy Butler. They're doing this to prove a point to every other player who will ever come to Miami. Don't ever try no like this here. We don't play that. And you see how we did Jimmy, right? Like, I think they're trying to make an example to anyone who would believe that this tactic would be fruitful if you try it here in Miami. Try that stuff anywhere else. Don't try it here.
And they're kind of exposing him, right? For it's not what you're saying this is about.
Yep.
It's clearly about the money. Like, it's not like Phoenix is one slight upgrade away from a championship, no matter how much you delude yourself. Because if you're going to believe that you can carry the Phoenix Suns to a championship, hell, you better believe you can carry us to a championship because we're deeper than they are, even though they're not as top heavy. So it makes it look like it's all about the bag with Jimmy Butler. But isn't that the case with everybody?
And not that there's anything wrong with that. I think sometimes we talk about, he's doing it for the money. People want to, like as a pejorative. It's not. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why they're doing it. That's why we all do our jobs, to be able to earn what we think we're worth and provide for our families, right? And so you mentioned Steph Curry. People was like, well, Steph wasn't happy and he didn't do it.
Never.
He would never. And I'm like, no, not even your precious Steph Curry would tolerate being paid less than what he thought he was worth.
I don't believe you.
Look, I'll give you a great example. Steph famously had ankle issues early in his career. When he came up for his rookie extension, it was deeply discounted because it's like, oh, we don't know. I don't know why they didn't just mess with the guarantees as opposed to paying him less money, but they did, and he had to eat it, right? Well, during the lifetime of that contract, he becomes the best player in the league. They win a championship. They set records and all that stuff. They win more championships. And so his deal is coming up. And there was some chatter around that time that Joe Lacob is like, well, if we can get Steph to take less, then we can have a little bit of breathing room with the luxury tax and then do all these other moves. And it's like Steph and his agents are like, if you come with an offer that is $1 less than max, we're out of here. That's not a rumor. That's not an urban myth or urban legend. That's something that actually happened. They had to communicate to the Warriors, don't this up trying to be cute. Come correct. And by the way, there were teams that knew about this and were like, we're prepared to do whatever it takes. What kind of concept restaurant does Aisha want? We'll help make that happen. We'll help make that happen. That's real, right? And so before we put Steph like on a platform as, oh, see, this is the way you do it, and this, oh, Jimmy Butler, you charlatan. The reality is, they all believe they should get paid what they're going to get paid.
Here's the difference, though, right? So Steph, at that moment, still had the question marks, not even if it was just his ankles, just what he did on the floor while he was on it. He had the doubts in his head that he could say, maybe I'm not worth that. Maybe
You're talking about the rookie extension.
I'm talking about the rookie extension, the one that was the huge discount that he can get, they can get every other player with. He didn't, and he also wasn't 35 years old like Jimmy Butler is, right? Whereas when he came back around the second time, it was very much the LeBron James situation in Miami. You remember, they took tiny discounts to get together, get Udonis Haslem in the house back in 2010. But once it was time to re-up, that's what LeBron said. I'm not taking a penny less than a max. And where I feel like Jimmy Butler feels like he has that wherewithal to say, I'm not taking a penny less than, why? You only got us there. You didn't finish the deal. And you're 35 years old. Right. So if you want to say you can recreate all that stuff, it's like Steph was saying during his last contract, yeah, I can absolutely recreate all that stuff. Look at me. I'm still Steph. Jimmy, first of all, the look at me is only look at me in the postseason. It's not look at me in the regular season. Yeah. And in the postseason, you did it effectively every other year. You could, drag us up from the mud and make us something. But you don't really have much of an argument to stand on. You're not LeBron. You're not Steph.
Right. But he's still saying, like, look, I'm one of the best players in franchise history. And more importantly, I'm the best player on the franchise right now. And that's what he's going to go back to and say, look, if you need to find out where to save money, it's somewhere else. It ain't in my pocketbook. It ain't in my backyard, because I have, in his mind, I have answered the call. And I've done everything to make this team as good as possible. And the only times you guys don't advance deep is when I get hurt.
Well, this is kind of like the drama, the Netflix drama series or Netflix series of it all, is because marriages end. Like, they're always going to end. It's just a matter of how they end. And Jimmy Butlers are always going to end ugly, at least with the NBA. So maybe it's just about finding that other partner that suits you. And so is it possible that if we get past all this noise of Jimmy Butler wanting out, what have you, that this marriage of Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry and the Warriors is something that should happen? When you talk about their career timelines, it lines up. When you talk about what the Warriors need to quote unquote finish the deal or whatever, when you talk about the only franchise that has such a great variance between
the worst Photoshop ever.
Okay, it's fantastic. I mean, those arms.
You couldn't get Draymond Green's body? Like, we had to go get, what's that, Zaza Pachulia? Who is that?
The greatest variance in the league, maybe the Lakers are second, from a team that could be in the lottery to winning a championship, it's the Golden State Warriors. And it's because of 2022. Yeah. Like, I've talked to Steve Kerr recently, just discussing that year. And I was like, yeah, you guys weren't the best team. How did you win? Because we weren't the best team that year. We were only the third best team in the conference. They needed to win the last 5 games of that regular season just to secure the number 3 seed. Yeah. Before that, they had gone 7-17. Right. And then they go ahead and win a championship. And so now, we joked about them being a Jordan Poole away. No, they're not. But are they an upgrade from, let's say Andrew Wiggins or Kuminga, probably not both, to Jimmy Butler? Are they that close to go ahead and turning it on and winning another championship?
Yeah, I mean, I think like one of the things you got to think about is the Western Conference is incredibly fluid, right? Other than Oklahoma City, no one looks a cut above everybody else, right? So if you're going Denver, if you're going Memphis, if you're going, the Clippers, the Lakers, whoever you want, Houston, they all
Denver's probably the scariest just because they've done it.
Because they've done it and because they have the best player in the league, right? The Warriors, as we know from Draymond Green's tweets last night to Karl Anthony Towns,
or knows how to win.
He knows how to win. He's like, I like it. Draymond, for all the shit talk people think he's just talking out his ass. Like, you can't deny one thing. When it came down to locking down the best player in the world, he did that.
Yep.
Right? And so when you talk about, especially the Thunder being the only team that looks like a cut above, there's only one of them. And so there's only a chance that you might even see them if you're the Warriors. You might not even see them on route because they got to see someone else, and the playoffs are the playoffs. So there isn't an insurmountability, I don't think, if they get some help. Obviously, status quo doesn't get the job done.
Right.
The other part of this, though, is sometimes management doesn't do deals because this is going to make us win a championship, right? This is what I mean by this. A few weeks ago, it came to me like the Warriors are not kind of lukewarm on Jimmy Butler because of the same issues that the Heat have. It's like, I don't want to pay this guy for 2-3 years beyond this. I don't want to be locked into this. They're trying to kind of get their costs under control. But if your franchise player is unhappy, and it sounds like Steph sounds as unhappy as I've ever heard him in public, right? Sometimes you got to do something, even if you know it ain't going to work, to keep him happy. Happy superstar, happy life, right?
You don't want to mortgage the future, but maybe you'll take out a little loan to add a part to the house,
refi,
right?
See what kind of extra cash you can get.
Redo the kitchen, maybe, see if Steph likes it.
So it's just like, sometimes that's what you got to do just to kind of placate. And a great example of this was Oklahoma City in 2016, 2017, right? Obviously, the Warriors assemble with Kevin Durant, and they're so amazing. Russell Westbrook wins that first MVP, wins MVP that first season afterwards. But it's like, it's clear. We all knew that team's not good. I mean, you're playoff.
It was about
good.
saving face more than it was about winning a championship.
Right. So it's like, well, Russ is up for an extension. Well, we got to show him that we mean business pretty much. So they go out and they get Paul George and they get Carmelo Anthony. And to much fanfare, and to the casuals, it was like, oh, here we go, another super team. But like all the basketball people were like, that ain't gonna beat the Warriors. That it's just such a terrible mix.
It's just for the graphic, the three players in the jerseys.
Winning the press conference. But Sam Presti's a bright guy, comes from San Antonio, knows winning, knows how to build teams. He's not an idiot. He's not like, maybe this. He's not like a Neanderthal. But he does it, Izzy, because he's saying, I got to convince my superstar we're doing everything we can. And once he says, yeah, all right, sign on this dotted line. All right, cool. Now we've got the flexibility to do what we want.
Yeah, with Steph, this is what I'm talking about. Just like it seems like the perfect timing for this because Steph is treating it like, hey, I got to protect my organization. Don't mortgage the future for me. But while Jimmy is sort of burning down or trying to burn down his organization on the way out, to me, there's only two other franchises that can absorb that and be like, we have our ish together. And it's the Spurs and the Warriors. If Jimmy were to go to Phoenix, he might get there and be like, wow, I'm going to get my money. But man, this owner is just driving a crazy bus over here. Right. Everybody's allowed to do whatever they want. At the Warriors, like, look, Steve Kerr's dealt with Draymond Green. I don't think there's much of anything Jimmy Butler can do, especially if they're on the same page competitively, especially because he's got such respect for Steve Kerr. So again, I'm not just talking myself into this. The Warriors are almost talking themselves into this, at least reportedly, because they weren't interested in him before. Now they might be.
Man, and that's maybe, and like, again, the track record matters, right? Like those organizations have a track record, right? Whereas the Suns, their track record at this point under this ownership is whatever the newest thing is, just give it to me. I don't care how much it costs. And maybe for Jimmy Butler, that's the best words he can hear. It's like, I don't care how much it costs. Whereas certainly Golden State, maybe San Antonio, they do feel that way. Here, let me ask you a question. If it's not Golden State, if Golden State isn't the place for Steph, where do you think
Steph?
Yeah, if Steph says, you know what, Jimmy Butler's not good enough, I don't want to be here, get me out of here. Now, I've long held and heard that Steph Curry will only play for one other organization in his career. That's the Charlotte Hornets.
Really?
Which is kind of crazy.
I was going to say the Lakers, but it's a team that drafted Kobe.
But see, the Lakers, now with the bromance with LeBron, That's something to it. No, like if you're Steph, you'd have to kind of think. I'm like, it'd be pretty cool.
I don't
to
think
play
he would
with
ever
him.
play there just based on the one picture of those finals where he's looking back at him so dismissively.
No,
I don't think Steph is over that at all. I do think though it would be a hilarious basketball experiment to just remove LaMelo Ball, replace him with Steph Curry, and see what happens.
watch the Hornets win 50 games. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's what it looks like. Okay.
But that's not happening.
No,
He's not going to Charlotte.
He's not going to Charlotte. He's not going to the Lakers. He's not going to San Antonio. He's not going to the Rockets. But we're going to break. We're going to play a new game, Tug O War. All right, welcome back to Oddball. Amin Elhassan, Izzy Gutierrez over there. And earlier we talked about big picture kind of trade conversations. But now let's get into the nitty gritty with a segment we're calling Tug of War. Yes. Izzy and I will represent two sides of a negotiation. And as we argue for our side of the deal, the Tug of War icon below us will move from one side to the other. Whoever pulls the player to their side via superior negotiation tactics wins the round. All right, like that? All right, so let's get started with Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
And the Philadelphia 76ers.
Philly.
Yes, per our friend Vinny Goodwill of Yahoo Sports, the Sixers are quietly a suitor for Jimmy Butler. Embiid is reportedly pushing for the move. We all know that they have a great relationship from the half season they play together. So for the purpose of this, I will be Sixers GM Daryl Morey. You're Pat Riley. And because I'm Sixers GM Daryl Morey, I am ping pong enthusiast. The ball's in your court, Pat.
Wait a second, but you're calling me then?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So you got to call me Mr. Ping Pong, and I'll get this ping pong ball for you.
I'm going to call you because I want to trade the deal that Vinny reported on was basically, it would be centered around Paul George for Jimmy Butler straight up. Now, Paul George, it's had some injury issues. He just signed that 4-year deal. So that's where we are. Start the timer and go. Okay, here we go. PG is great. He's heat culture. You got balls in your court.
I can imagine Pat Riley's in a cigar at all times, and he ignores the ball. Here's the thing with Jimmy Butler. Your best player just called Jimmy Butler the best player in the league last year, if you remember, okay? And I'm looking at some stats here. For Paul George, he's got worse numbers than Tobias Harris did for your team last year. So you're effectively trying to trade me Tobias Harris for Jimmy Butler. I'm not buying that.
Now, Pat, the ball was back in my court. Let me tell you right now, the thing that you're forgetting is that he's got Tobias Harris numbers, yes, but that's because Paul George is in a situation that doesn't fit him well. He doesn't know how to be the third banana. You know who knows how to be the third banana? Jimmy Butler. That's why you got to get him. You got to give me, Jimmy. You take Paul George, and then you're fine. You're happy.
I think we're going to have to let a third party decide who gets Jimmy Butler here because we can't decide for ourselves.
It looks like the graphic says that the Heat are not going to take those deals.
Damning Tobias Harris numbers. Just look it up. Compare Paul George this year to Tobias Harris last year with Philly. They're the same player.
The contract isn't great. And again, we know that the Heat don't want to have money past 2026 on the books. So that kind of throws it on. All right, let's go to the next one. Next one, big name. De'Aaron Fox this week. We learned that De'Aaron Fox is on the trading block. His top destinations are reportedly the San Antonio Spurs. So I will be RC Buford.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess that makes me Vivek Ranadive.
That's right.
The much respected
yes.
president or owner of the Kings.
Stauskas.
I'm gonna assume he also smokes a cigar. So Mr. Buford.
Yeah, well, look, Vivek, we've seen the news. Everyone knows the kid wants to be here. You guys, you've got your best player, Sabonis. He's awesome. You know what he needs, though? He needs a 5 to play alongside him. I'm going to give you Zach Collins, and I'm also going to give you Keldon Johnson. And I'll throw in a couple of picks, too. That way you guys get to win.
I know I've been at this for a while, but I don't know who any of those players are, and I don't think I'm going to give away my all-star guard. I know a lot of people, somebody who used to work in the league, don't really have high opinions of De'Aaron Fox. But trust me, look at his fourth quarter numbers. I'm not giving him away for anything. The only reason we're announcing this is because we're being nice to him and we have another all-star in our books. We're not going to give him away for nothing.
Keldon Johnson was part of Team USA for a little bit there, right? That works. And
the grown-up Team USA or the junior?
But hey, the point is here, so what you got to remember, you're going to look like a genius. You're the guy that knew that Nick Stauskas is a good player.
I think you're breaking up. I can't hear you anymore. I'm sorry. We have to make a decision.
Looks like, I see Bieber. Yeah, I gave him good arguments. There you go.
Giving him away.
Yeah.
Just giving him away.
All right, next up, Zach LaVine to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are the latest team to reportedly have interest in Mr. LaVine. I'll be Bucks GM John Horst. Izzy, your Bulls GM, Mark Eversley. So
nice to meet you, Mark.
Yeah, Arturis, I guess, doesn't get involved in these calls. All right. All right. Okay. I'm John Horst. Damn it. Dude, every day I'm terrified that Giannis is just gonna say, you know what? It, I'm out of here. You gotta do me this one solid. Your season isn't going anywhere. Just help me out here. Come on. I'll give you Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis and 3 second rounders.
You're doing it all wrong, you see. You gotta hire a coach that people believe in, but might not be that good. That way, you take all the pressure off yourself. I'm not going to give away Zach LaVine I need names back for Zach LaVine. I'm okay if we're losing. We can blame Billy Donovan.
But here's the thing.
I did hire a coach who nobody believes in, but it's a lot of money. My coach is getting paid a lot of money. What are we going to do? It's not Blake's fault that I'm getting paid a lot of money. I'm just saying.
I don't know if you noticed, but the rest of our team, we've got a ball brother who's just might not even be able to make it. I think I got to keep Zach.
Though he wrote and produced Tweaker, so got to give him that. Yeah. All right, who won?
I think the Bulls are keeping Zach LaVine.
Right.
I think he's going to stay in Chicago forever. I'm telling you.
Okay, this one should be fun. Caitlin Clark says she has no interest in participating in a 3-point challenge during NBA All-Star Weekend. She says she wants her first 3-point competition to be at the WNBA All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis this upcoming WNBA season. I'm Adam Silver. And Izzy, you are WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert.
Okay.
All right.
I think she's a cigar smoker as well. I'm glad I did this.
All right. All right. I'm Adam Silver. Okay. September. You want to do this to me? King Kong ain't got on me. I'm put cases on every one of your asses. You'll be playing pickup ball in Pelican Bay. 23-hour lockdown. Shoe program.
King Kong, I got 2 words for you. Taylor Swift. Who was sitting next to Taylor Swift at a game? It was not Steph Curry. It was Caitlin Clark. If my woman is going to take part in your All-Star game and bring up your ratings, you got to do way more for us, buddy. We've been flying commercial for years.
That's what you guys have been complaining about for years. We don't do enough. We don't give enough of a platform. Well, this is the biggest platform we have outside of the NBA Finals.
How about Steph Curry joins the WNBA All-Star Game weekend, and then we'll have a conversation.
I'm receptive. All right, final one.
Come on back, Caitlin.
Speaking of Adam Silver, Adam Silver said on Wednesday on the Dan Patrick Show he likes the idea of shortening quarters from 12 minutes to 10 minutes. Izzy, I am 10 minutes.
Well, you're
10-minute quarters, and you're 12-minute quarters.
All right, older.
All
I
right.
like it.
I'll let you start this time.
I mean, where is there to start? Look, I'm tired of this Adam Silver telling me what every other basketball league in the world does. We are the GDNBA. If we want to play 12-minute quarters, we play 12 mother bleeping minute quarters. Everybody says it's a 48-minute game. Nobody's going to change that to 40. That sounds ridiculous.
I said shorten the season. They said, no, it's too much money to give away. I said, let's do this. No, let's start the season after Christmas. No, it's too much money to give away. No one wants to lose money. No one wants to give up money. So we got to make these games shorter. No one's watching these 3-hour marathons.
No one wants to give up money. You know who's going to give up money in these scenarios? 33% of the players who aren't going to get off the bench because all the star players are going to play 38 minutes and every role player is going to be like, damn, I only played 2 minutes and now I can't get paid.
That's what they want anyway. People don't
Less money?
No. Nobody wants to watch Gerald Fitch play.
Everybody wants to see what's on their bench. Everybody needs to see the backup quarterback.
Pelly Larson is not the reason why people are showing up to
but maybe he is. Maybe he's the difference.
I don't know, man. If I'm being honest, I think it's not like it's the only sport in the world. Like, look at soccer. They play everywhere. It's 90 minutes, 45-minute halves, right? If you look at baseball, like it's 9 innings, 3 outs per inning. Like, there's no league other than when the Savannah Bananas play where it's like, you know what? We're going to like adulterate these rules, the rules of time. And so you can say, okay, the dimensions are going to be different. Well, that's fine. But I don't think it's so bad to have a 10-minute quarter.
I think you're better off expanding the court, making the game more entertaining in different ways that doesn't affect everything from a statistical standpoint. I'd be okay with less games, but the per game for me as an NBA fan, always been a huge thing. You're going to knock it down to 40 minutes a game, and I'm going to be like, wow, that dude averaged 28 points a game a season. It's not the same as saying, holy crap, 35 points a game. That was wild.
If I'm going to start playing, I'll play 36 minutes a game right now in a 48-minute game. I can still play 36 minutes in a 40-minute game.
Nope,
No, not that.
losing money.
NBA is a GOAT. So is Michael Jordan.